Welcome. Carmen Williams and I are coming up for our 3-year business partnership anniversary next week. So today I thought I'd invite Carmen on the show to share with you a bit about our friendship, our partnership, warts and all, the highs, the lows of two businesswomen striving to do their best in business. So welcome, Carmen. I'm so excited about talking with you today to share a few stories.
I think we're going to have a lot of fun, Maureen.
Here's she coming. There you go. So, Carmen, do you want to share with everybody how we met?
Yes, I remember I was doing push-ups and you came along and you said, and we had a discussion about the push-ups and you're like, I'd like to get fit, but I'm not prioritizing it. And when I heard that, I'm just like, oh my goodness, she's one of my people. She's like taking ownership over her life. So she wants to do something and most people go, oh, but I can't, I don't have time. And she's like, well, I haven't done it because I'm not prioritizing it. And I'm like, it just stuck in my head from then.
So we're having some technical difficulties because I can't hear you, Carmen. So I'm just going to pop back out and come back in. And if you'd like to share with people around what you think that it is some of the secret sauce that makes it work for us, because there's not that many successful partnerships with two women. So I'll be back in a minute, but if you want to share with people some insights around that, that'd be great.
Yes. So I need to be honest with everyone, and Maureen knows this, but I remember at one stage I was sort of sussing Maureen out and going, oh, could I be in a business partnership with her? And I came to the conclusion that we couldn't because I was looking at her and Maureen's out there and enjoys attention, enjoys the limelight. And I'm like, I don't know if we could share that. And so I sort of put it to one side. And then one day we were doing videos together for LinkedIn because I said, Maureen, LinkedIn's awesome. You should be on it. I'll support you. I'll get, some virtual assistants to help you. And so we did some videos together for LinkedIn. And I just had a ball. It was so much fun, the videos we had. We laughed. I was watching the videos back. I was laughing a whole lot. And it's then that I thought, actually, I think we could do this really well. I think we could both have the limelight and share it because we're so different, and we can both share the stage. So that's one of the things that really resonated for me about how we could be in partnership together. Now, obviously, two strong people in partnership can have all sorts of difficulties, and not just including technical difficulties, but we think very differently. So do you know Hamish and Andy? So the comedy duo. So who thinks Maureen is Hamish or Andy? What would you bet? So Maureen and I discussed this and we both independently agreed that Maureen was the Hamish, the fun, the funny, the out there, and I was the Andy, which was the more serious sort of person. But together, I think they're hilarious and they work really well together. So that's how we go. So Maureen, did you hear that story?
No, but I'm
sharing with everyone that you're the Hamish, I'm the Andy.
Yeah, because I'm funnier. And you're better.
I'm funny, so it's all good.
Yeah. So I'm presuming you shared your story about how we met.
Yes, I shared the push-up story, which I know is not the same story as your origin meeting story.
Right. So one thing I do remember about you really early on was we went to a camp, and I think it was at Phillip Island camp.
Yeah, that's where the push-ups happen.
right? But I do remember when we go to they're single parent camps, right? And so it's all catered for. So as single parents, you don't usually, get that many nights off where you're not cooking for kids. You haven't got a partner there going, hey, darling, I'll cook for you tonight. So when you go on these camps, you just really, they have a cook and there's 3 courses and there's afternoon tea and morning tea and you just gorge on all this food, right? And I usually come home, 2 or 3 kilos heavier from this 4-day camp. Anyway, this camp that I saw Carmen on, and I can't remember whether it's the first time. I felt like it was the second time, but let's not argue over that. Carmen was on a get fit streak, and and she brought her own food, like all measured out, and she did not have one scone. And she's just like, she was on a mission. She had really decided that she was doing this thing and she was not breaking any rules around her decision to do it wholeheartedly. And I remember thinking, gee, that takes a strong person to sit there for 4 days around these people stuffing their faces.
I was stuffing my face just with different sort of food.
Yeah, but so I think that's really stood out for me around the sort of person you were. So so we sort of hung out a bit. We weren't like best friends though, were we?
No, we hardly hung out at all until Maureen called me one day and said, Carmen, you should come do this course, this communication course. I'm like, I'm a pretty good communicator, Maureen. I implement projects across the enterprises, and then she's like, no, you should come do this course. And, Maureen can be pretty convincing. And then I went and did the course that Maureen was running, coaching and communication. And oh my goodness, it rocked my world. First of all, I've learned these communication skills, which how did I get to that age and not know these fundamental communication things? I was doing pretty well, but there were huge opportunities to improve my communication. Then I got to hang out with Maureen for 8 days and I got to see this strong businesswoman living life her way. And it showed me what was possible for myself. And because Maureen taught me all the skills of how to get coaching clients, halfway through the course, I went to the pub and got my first coaching client. We paid up front for a year. So I thought I was rich because I had my full-time job and a client. And so at the end of the course, I walked into work and I just felt my stomach drop. And then I tried to log into my computer and I couldn't remember my password. And I was one of those people that just added a number to the end of the password. I'd been there for 11 years. So and then I called up my brother and I said, I'm thinking of quitting. And he said, no, just take leave. And then I called up Maureen and I said, I'm thinking of quitting. And I said, what are my chances of success? And she said, 90%. And I defined success for her. And I said, what's in the 10%? She said, your mind. I said, that's okay. So then I called up my director and I said, I've decided I'm leaving. Is it possible that I could leave today? And so then I tied up a few loose ends and then I walked out at lunchtime and everyone's going, Carmen, I didn't know you were leaving. And I said, neither did I. Anyway, so from then on, I was then, in the business world and, learning really fast. I didn't even know the difference between sales and marketing. And so because I was now in the business world, Maureen and I, we hung out a bit more together, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. And Carmen was a star student. I remember one day, because I've done, run this coaching course and communication course for many, many years. And she just always stood out as well. One day I turned up to the course and I had a slide that had Carmen's questions, and then because she'd asked so many questions that I wanted to answer for her in the group that I made a slide for her and did the answers to the questions, and then also someone to have the ovaries to go to the pub that night and be asked to move along and then go, no, is this speed networking? I'd like to participate, and not only participate but then use the script I'd given her, which she'd memorised, to then get a client was pretty amazing. So Carmen, then what happened? So we were hanging out a bit after you'd started your business. Shit got real. Yeah. Then what happened?
I was you know, struggling, going, oh my goodness, what have I done? But like when you're like that, like single mum, 2 kids, mortgage, I needed to make it work. So I started marketing myself on LinkedIn. So I worked out within a week of doing that, I needed a virtual assistant to help me with that. So it was my first foray into virtual assistants. Noe, she was my first virtual assistant. She was great. And I started, you know, making big calls, and I would call up Maureen and go, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, you know, how would you approach this? And we just started talking a little bit more, I guess, because we shared that shared interest in business and, you know, going big and, you know, taking bets and doing things our way.
Yeah. And I think there got a time there where it got a bit hairy, didn't it? Like it was like, oh, like, you know, is this really going to work? What am I going to do? And you just pulled out all stops. I knew you'd just go for it and get there.
Yeah, look, it was really hairy. I must admit, there were times where I was lying under my couch, under a blanket, like just dealing with some anxiety. And I remember I was in my psychologist's office once, and she just said to me, Carmen, what would happen if it didn't work? And then I had this realization that it was like the fear of it not working, like the reality of it not working. I could deal with that. Like worst case scenario is you go get a job, and then you've failed your first, you know, thing like a lot of people do in business. So it wasn't the reality that freaked me out. It was like the fear of failing and what I'd think about myself and what others would think about me. So then once I can't say I got over that, but once I like, you know, got over it in part, it just, I guess it made it easier, and I was able to take really bold moves. So yeah.
And today I don't really want to say, you know, what's the lesson from that. I just want people to listen, you know, if they're interested, and take what they want from our stories. So then moving on to, you know, you started in business 4 years. We've been in business 3 years next week. What then happened from your perspective for us to end up partnering?
Yeah. So I shared why, while you went off the screen, that I had considered it at one stage, like vaguely, and then I put it out there in my head. So I remember looking up at you at one stage and going, could we be in business together? Like, you're an impressive businesswoman. And then I made the decision that we couldn't, because we both like the limelight. And
hello, excuse me, put us up on the screen at the same time you're putting more of Carmen up at the moment. Please, guys, come on.
Look, I'm on the Maureen pound. No. So
you can put Carmen up again now.
And so that was like a brief thing. And so like I put it to the side, and then we just started talking more, and then I discovered the joys of LinkedIn marketing and how awesome it can be, and I just wanted to be able to support you because you'd supported me so much. And I said, come on, Maureen, come. And you're like, oh, no. And I'm like, come on, it's easy. I'll get the virtual assistants to do the doing. All you need to do is meet with me. You're great. You're engaging. You can do some video. All you need to do is meet with me and do video. Like, I'll get the team to do the rest for you. And then we did the videos together, and I had a ball. And I remember getting home. I was watching the videos. I was laughing out loud. Then I talked to Maureen about the videos, and we were laughing about the videos. And then I don't know who said it, Maureen, but one of us was like, oh, well, you know, maybe we should be in business together.
Yeah. And you know what? I forgot that I don't even remember why we were doing the bloody videos. I know after the videos in my park across the road, we decided to go in business together, but I don't remember. So thanks for filling in that little memory lapse there, because I had no idea. Okay,
LinkedIn. I'm like, come on, Maureen, you're missing out.
Yeah. I was a Facebook girl. I was like, I don't know about this LinkedIn. It was a good move. Mm-hmm. And then we went into business together, and I've been in business about 17 years, and had like 3 investment properties, and like I had lots of ongoing expenses, things happening. And I remember talking to Carmen, if we're going to go into business, how are we going to divide this up? How are we going to do this? In the beginning, we're potentially not going to have enough cash flow for both of us. And what did we decide then, Carmen?
So I remember we looked at it, like Maureen has all these contacts. I knew next to no one. Maureen had all these contacts. She had all this history. I did have some pretty big consulting invoices due in and everything. And we just looked at it and we're like, we need to go all in. If we just go, oh, well, Maureen's got a coaching and Carmen's got a consulting, because I was doing healthcare consulting, and then we've got this thing together, like it's going to be too complicated. And I think it's all about energy. So we just like chucked it all in. We're like, anything that comes in, anything that goes out from I think the next day, it was just all in one pot. And so that's worked quite well for us because, as I continued to do consulting for a little bit, which was great while we were working out our business model, and Maureen continued to do coaching, and she occasionally picks up, the odd bit of coaching if it really sparks her interest as well. But it just allowed us to really focus, and all our energy, independent of what area we're working on, whether it's global teams or another a business endeavor, it just goes into the one pot. But it was a pretty full-on decision, but it just seemed, I don't know, like the natural one, and like the only one I thought would work for us.
Yeah. And I think, if you're that sort of person where you're all in, and there's obviously got to be a lot of trust there, and you just felt it work. I think, we could have quibbled over percentages or who was bringing in more, and I just think it would have messed with us both.
Yeah. There were times where we were leaning on your history and your connections. Like there was one time where I'm just like, I just need to get business in. So I called random people in Maureen's phone.
Random.
I avoided the one that said Tinder. I called others though. And because Maureen knew all these people. And so there were times when from a consulting there might have been more invoices coming in that month from that work. But we just knew that we each brought different value, and it comes in waves and everything. And so it's, I think, about really recognizing and appreciating the other person's value, which I guess, can be, it can be a difficult thing to measure sometimes, but just, I guess, going in with that faith or that understanding that the other person's bringing that value and putting their energy into the endeavor.
Yeah, well said. And we're very different brains and strengths. And I think it works really well. But we piss each other off a bit too, don't we, Carmen?
Yeah, I've got a lot of steps walking up and down the street. You want to go up into the vision again, do you, Maureen? Can we just get shit done?
Yeah, so I'm more of a vision, high-level, strategic, big moves person. And Carmen is really good at the immediate strategic direction and strategy around that and mobilising things. So, and it sounds like, it's just easy, but it's really painful. And some of our meetings are really painful. And I was brought up to sort of avoid that pain, like when, you don't really discuss things all that much necessarily. And so it was a big thing for me. Because I also had this thing, I've never had a life partner. So I've also had this thing going in my head that people leave me. It was a story that I told myself. And when really it's a bullshit story because no one's really left me. But anyway, I believe it. So for ages we had to get over that hurdle of, Carmen's going, I'm not going anywhere, even when you shit me. So that went on for a while. And yeah, and then I think, Carmen, what did you evolved around needing to take action after every single meeting, didn't you?
Yeah, and I'll share that. But before then, can I share my story about people?
Yeah, sure.
My story is I get bored of people. And I'm like, why haven't I got bored of Maureen yet? I speak with her multiple times a day and we go on holidays together. Why haven't I got bored of her? So with me waiting to get bored of Maureen and Maureen waiting for me to leave her, it's a miracle we've lasted 3 years.
I know. But I think we do see the value of being together. And I've been successful in business and, you know, and obviously been there in business longer. But, like, I am not an operations person. I don't like it. And I was happy with my little coaching consultancy. And, you know, I could have stayed there, but I really wanted to try bigger and better things and have a bigger impact on the world. And to do that, I really needed, like, someone like Carmen in my life. And if she's not my business partner, I would be kidding myself if I thought I could stay on my own and do, you know, systemize the business and, you know, oversee everything, because it's just not my strength. So I think that's a really good lesson too, that getting someone who's really different from you is so beneficial, but it's really painful as well.
Yeah.
And it's not, we you know, we end every conversation saying what, Carmen?
Well, we just acknowledge ourselves and each other.
So after we've, you know, bagged each other for a little while and go, well, you know, and I go, I'm not feeling supported, and then Carmen going, how dare you say that? Just give me the formula for support. I'm sick of hearing it. Then we talk about the layer of the onion, because there's so many layers, and then we just go, oh,
and then that I'm not getting bored.
At least it's not boring. Because Carmen each week takes me on a new adventure. It's a new fitness or a new man or a new interest or a new marketing idea. Let's do Clubhouse. Oh, yeah, sure. I need to buy a device. Sure, Carmen. Let's just see how we go. And I think that's really worked for us as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, because you let me go down these rabbit holes and just go, yeah, cool, Carmen. That's fine. Yeah.
You said to me you were quite surprised in the beginning that I didn't judge you around making mistakes or going down rabbit holes.
Yes, I remember early on, before we had the team to send out broadcast emails, I sent out a broadcast email and I was wrong on so many levels. Like the merge field didn't work. Like it was so shit. I sent it out to the entire database, and Maureen just like, okay, or what do we, like, let's work out what we do from here. You know, it's an opportunity. Let's send out a follow-up email or whatever. And you just like told me what words to say and I sent it. And then I'm like, Maureen just like didn't get into the drama or the details. She didn't call me any names. She didn't like delve into the, oh no, we shouldn't have done that. You should pay more attention. You should do this. Like none of that. It's just like, okay, what do we do from here? And I was really shocked, because that's not the approach that I'm used to. It's not the approach I grew up with. It's not the approach I take in my head, but it's an approach that I'm really cultivating now, because I think it's helpful, because I know I should pay attention to detail. I'm crap at that. Thank goodness we got the team. But, you know, like that's, you know, I didn't need Maureen to tell me next time, test the merge field. Like I learned that lesson. It was just really helpful. And it was an aha moment. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I can stuff up with Maureen and it's okay.
Yeah. And I think that's really important thing, to just stuff up and learn from it and move on. What do you think the secret sauce is, Carmen?
I think it's really making an active effort to see the genius in each other. So people, when they work with someone who's very different to them, they often focus on the difference and what's annoying about the difference. And don't worry, I've spent plenty of time there, but I think it's really cultivating the appreciation for how the difference works.
Yeah.
So instead of saying Maureen is, doesn't enjoy operations or whatever, that's so fantastic, that's great, because Maureen won't be sucked into operations as much as I will, because she'll be thinking bigger and making the next big step, which is great. So it's great to have that linkage. Similarly, like I get overwhelmed with detail, so Maureen's helping me buy my first investment property at the moment, and I wouldn't have got where I'm at, because without Maureen going, okay, Carmen, let's think big, let's think into the future. Okay, let's get over that hurdle that you think is unsurmountable. Like we can find out a way. So like that wouldn't be happening if I didn't have Maureen supporting me with that.
Yeah.
Well, practically, and also like personally, like helping me get over my own barriers, my own stories, my own baggage.
Yeah. And what I'd like to say is sometimes when you get annoyed with me, I don't want you to continue to get annoyed with me, Carmen. I know it's going to happen. But it's sort of helpful because it's like, I then analyse where the annoyance is coming from and go, if I were Carmen, would I be annoyed? Do you know what I mean? And I go, I probably would.
Yeah.
So I've been sitting on that too long, or I haven't taken action around that, or whatever it is. So it's all, I really think it's about trying to see the other person's perspective. It's so cliched. Put the other person's shoes on, but it's really, I think it's really true that if you can just stop for a minute, even if you cross and you want to, blame the other person in your head, if you could just take a step back and go, okay, well, if I were them, what would be going on for them and how would they be feeling? Then it's really helpful, even if you can't do it immediately.
Yeah, even if you come back to it. I mean, there's been times where you've given me feedback and I haven't managed it well, but there's been times where you've given me feedback and I've gone, yeah, fair call.
Yeah.
I heard you, like, full stop.
Imagine if we did that more often in life. Instead of, pushing back, I know our brains want to do it and our emotions want to do it. But, being able to just go, actually, they've got a point. I remember years ago, I was in the shit around money and I was trying to, I don't know what I was trying to do, access early super or something years and years ago. And I rang the guy and I'm trying to convince them to get some access to some super and whatever. And I said, I've got myself into the shit. It's totally my fault. I did this and this. He goes, excuse me? I go, I did it. No. And he's like, no one in my 30 years in this business has ever said that. It's always, let's blame something else. Let's blame the circumstances. Let's blame another person.
Yeah. And I like to get really good at it. There's some occasions with clients where I, even though Maureen's not that much in the operations, there are some times where I go to Maureen for support and her view and her perspective, because it's really valuable. And I go to Maureen, hey, this is what's happened. I haven't scoped the rollout well, or, this is what we've done wrong at Global Teams to get this result for this client. Maybe the client hasn't onboarded them well or whatever, but they haven't been supported. And so it's about I describe the situation, but from, the role we've played in getting that outcome. So
yeah. I think we do that well. We've had a few clients in the States that haven't worked out in the last 12 months. And we
Clubhouse.
Pardon?
Thank you, Clubhouse. One of my, rabbit holes.
Yeah. But I think it's been interesting because we've actually said, is it because we're a bit fearful of that huge market? Is it what we've done, how we've treated them because of that? I think it's really good to have those discussions with each other rather than just going, blaming the client or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. And I think another tool that we've worked on that works quite well in our friendship and business relationship is creating some rules of thumb. So, for example, we go on holidays together and we make rules for our holidays. And so we went to Coffs Harbour and we could only talk about strategic things. So the Maureen actually did have a few operational financings to do, and I had a few other operational things that we did have to tackle while we were there, but I didn't talk to Maureen about it. We only tackled big ideas and we, there was action out of that and those things, but there was all strategic discussion. And so we've got these rules of thumb of we talk about this then. This is the spot where we talk about this. And it's taken a bit to develop that, but and we're always refining it. It's not perfect, but I think that's one of the other tools that we have that works for us.
Yeah. And I think it is, again, when we get in the drama, it's a bit hard, but sometimes saying, hey, I'm stuck around this. Do you want to coach me around this? Or recently when you were trying to fix me around something and I decided I just didn't want to do that, or I said I'm quite happy to have this thing going on for me, but I just want to accept that it's part of me.
Yeah. So that acceptance, and I go up and down in my energy quite a lot. Bit of a roller coaster. Anyone who's worked with me would know the differences. And so I've decided not to fix it.
Yeah.
So I've got strategies to make myself more bearable when I'm in particular states, and I've placed the people close to me about that and how to best manage me as well. But like, I think that's some of my secret sauce, and I know I can be painful to be around in certain states, and like we said, we've got some strategies, but I'm actually not going to fix that.
Yeah, and I think that's why we work as well, because both of us are open to not fixing the other. So when Carmen gets in one of her states, there's usually brilliance that comes out as well. And I think it is your secret sauce, and to try and change that or stop it would stop brilliance and amazing things happening. So, yeah, I think that's an important part of it as well. We spend our lives trying to change people's behaviour, don't we?
Yeah. And I remember with your thing that you were just referencing, like that was quite full on, because we'd discussed that theme a number of different times. And then when you had that aha about not fixing, and then when it happened next, I'm like, oh, cool. All right. My formula is, when this happens, just listen. Don't support you to try and fix. Not even have the frame of reference that it needs to be fixed. It just is. And so that was really helpful for me to, I love formulas because it helps me understand the world. It helps me act. It helps me to be able to support Maureen when I have those formulas. So, yeah.
So Carmen, thanks for the chat today. I think it's a great note to end it on, because it is around support and acceptance, ownership, not trying to change other people, and realising that it is a bit of a roller coaster, but it's fun to enjoy the ride, and it's pretty cool when you've got someone like you by my side.
Yeah, I love having you by my side. Even when you ship me, I still wouldn't have it any other way.
Excellent. And I love the frock, Carmen.
Thanks.
I love the frock.
I'm branching out. It's one of my new...
You'll have to wear the yellow one next time.
Yeah.
Excellent. So thanks for joining us, Carmen, and invariably we'll speak soon.
I'm sure we will. See ya.
Bye. Happy Friday. So if you'd like to see more interviews with amazing business owners sharing extraordinary insights, click subscribe, then click the bell button, then click all, and we'll notify you.